Allard's neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Hello, how y'all doing today? Yesterday, or Tuesday, on a snapshot or that they take for YouTube, they caught me, taking my water and look, what a great picture that is. But anyway, it's a very informal show, as obviously you can tell. I have Collin, Gregory here and Stephanie Beard here from Victims Assistance Program. We're going to talk about any updates and changes. They were on the first week of December, and they introduced the program, and I just want to see how it's going and whatnot. And I'm sure Burleson has responded. That's the kind of town we are. When I put that up there, I put it up for about a month. A lot of people were very impressed, and they wanted to know how they could help and how they could take part in that and stuff like that. So, y'all really hit a home run with this program.
Excellent. We appreciate that.
So, which one of y'all wants to take the credit?
All on Steph. All of it's on Stephanie.
Okay, that's good. But we're going to, like I said, talk about a few of those things and any plans for expansion, if there are any, and just some of the other things that are going on with this whole area of police work. And then at the end, we have an announcement we're going to make about Burleson PD. All right. It's called a tease. See, I'm learning these things, and I'm learning all this stuff. But anyway, talk about our sponsors. Here's Otto at our place. I was there this morning with my friends. Every other Thursday morning, the men in the Sunday school class and I get together, and it was always great food, great service, great time. And he's doing a really good job with that Gina's Pizza. Have you seen that? What's going on with that?
Oh, it looks amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. And he's learning all these different recipes and ins and outs of how to run a pizzeria and stuff like that. And it's going to be really good. That was the first place I ever ate at in Burleson.
Really?
Yeah, when I first started teaching here, I did, I'd come and go.
They had restaurants back then?
Oh, yeah. Well, we cooked them over the open fire on sticks. But I had a student, when I got into high school, I had a student that worked there. He said, you got to come to Gina's. So I did. And, it's like that's old Burleson, right?
Right.
Well, anyway, thank you, Otto, for providing such a great place and now two places for us. Also, Wild Cigar. I know the Cowboys are out, but they'll still have the playoffs. Yeah, you saw that disgrace, right? Yeah. And I'm listening to the sports talk on the way up here, and let's just say the commentators had an opinion about Mike McCarthy being maintaining his job, So
there's a lot of us that have an opinion about Mike McCarthy keeping his job.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. But anyway, they'll have the games on this weekend. I know they're planning something for the Super Bowl. I'm going to drop by and talk to Nathan next week to, make sure I know what I'm talking about. But it's always a really good time at Wild Cigar. Get you a cigar, get you a drink. It's a nice place to go. Also, Tiffany Nico magazine is out, obviously, because what are we, the 18th? She's always out on time. I believe, I'm not going to be into this, but she's going to have real estate on in the next issue. I know she's already getting prepared for the St. Patrick's Day pub crawl. I was talking with Victoria Johnson on this Tuesday. The two holidays that crack me up, really make me laugh, for St. Patrick's Day and Cinco de Mayo, because all of a sudden, these, these people had no idea, connection with Irish or Mexican heritage. Oh, viva, or the Irish. Oh, yeah, well, my great-great-grandfather was 1/8 Irish, And so it's like, but we know what they're for. An excuse for cerveza or Guinness.
Yes, very true.
But anyway, it's just funny. But Tiffany really does good work for these kind of programs. She does something like this on the 4th of July that's very, very popular. Also, Southern Gym, they're open right now. On February 8th, they're going to have Bourbon and Bling. So dads, moms, grandpa, everybody goes out there. Husbands, it's Valentine's Day. Just when you think you're getting out, you got by Christmas. Oh, no. Valentine's Day is there. And then when you get, March, Arbor Day, you got to have some jewelry for Arbor Day and, whatever. But, they got a lot going on. So, like I said, on February 8th, they have this Bourbon and Bling. And have you been in there before?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. And my 22nd anniversary is coming right around the corner.
There you go.
I think it's a good time to stop back in there.
Yeah, what I like about it is you go with the wife, and while she's picking out something nice, you can sit on the couch, and you can have water, Dr. Pepper, tequila. She got a bar, and it's not like open bar, but she has, some bourbon, and you can watch whatever sports on in that afternoon. She's really big into horse racing. She's going to have a big deal on Kentucky Derby Day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's her. She's a horse enthusiast, and she has some of her own. Anyway, Southern Gym, open right now over at the Standard. Also, this is a new sponsor, Two Maids, Brenda Ramirez. They can do cleaning for any size building. They do a lot of commercial spaces. She's part of a B&I group. And so I'm going to get the number out here for her, but she gets a lot of rave reviews from the people at B&I that use her. They really think a lot of her, and I don't doubt it at all. Come on, where's that phone number? Here we go. The phone number to reach her at is 817-764-0733, 817-764-0733, or at twomaidscleaning.com/Burleson. And you could set up like a one-time deal, or you can set up a routine, running every 2 weeks or whatever. And I'm really impressed with her. She's a very good businesswoman. So give her a holler. Also, Old Pro Roofing from Old Town. Everybody knows them. John Williams, 817-734-2756. And I just saw him yesterday as well. And, he's inspected my roof and gave it a passing grade. And that's really nice to know, because supposedly we're going to have bad weather next week. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I've told everybody I'm a weather agnostic. I really don't know if there is such a thing as weather, and I have to have it proven to me, that kind of thing. But anyway, 817-734-2756. He'll check your roof out and make sure it's good to go or not, and he'll help you deal with the insurance companies who are always enthusiastic about helping out their clients. Well, some are better at it than others, he says. I will say that he does compliment the one I have, which is Texas Farm Bureau. So he says they're the best to work with. So there you are. Sammy Campbell, Candy Gal over at Camco. Did you graduate with Sammy?
I'm not 100% positive. I have to figure out what year.
Her maiden name is Ortiz. Does that ring a bell?
It does ring a bell.
Okay, yeah. Well, she's in the general area, but
right.
But she and Candy been doing mortgage brokering for a long time. They've helped me with 2 refinancing back over the last few years to help with repairs or college expenses, and they're really good at what they do. And now they're doing it under their own flag. So Sammy's at 817-778-4592. And Candy is 817-925-2661. They're over at the B&G building, the freestanding plaza over there. Also, we do have something coming up. Jessica Valley Reams has got a big party coming on the 2nd. That's a Saturday. I believe that's a Saturday or a Friday. It's February 2nd. And it's over at Lost Oak, which is apparently the place to go to have these kind of functions these days. And it's going to be a fundraiser for her Fitability TX. And there's tables still available. There's sponsorship still available. There's tickets still available. So
it's a Friday.
It's a Friday. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, because I know I have something on the 1st, but I'll be there on the 2nd because she does really good work, and it is at Lost Oak. So
Jess is amazing. She's a great person.
Yeah, and I went out there right before Christmas to do a little video clip of what she does, and I was really touched by it because she had a young man with disabilities, and she was so patient with him, and he really, in his way, really was affectionate, or had fond feelings and whatnot towards her. You could tell he really liked her, and that's the kind of environment they need. To be frank, But anyway, all right, now y'all had this program on. Taylor, do you still have the logo, don't you? The banner. Oh, there it is. Okay. Y'all have had this going on now for about, 6 weeks? Mm-hmm. How would you gauge the response so far?
Excellent. So the businesses that we've contacted that have the ability to immediately take these and put these in, that aren't looking for corporate to give them permission, they snatched them up. We've been able to get into just about every store that we've gone and shown them these posters. Extremely easy to use, extremely easy to put into the restroom stalls in their facilities, so that helps. They're not having to do any sort of maintenance or anything. It's just kind of a peel and stick. We actually got a phone call yesterday from Texas Health, and they are going to be putting some in their facilities to the south, the one that's down past HEB on the way to Joshua. And so we're going to work with them on that. And then we're also going to see if we can't, even though technically it's not in Burleson, we all seem to claim Hughley as Burleson.
Right.
So we're going to work on the work with them to install these in the restrooms at Hughley Hospital proper, and hopefully that goes well and according to plan.
Well, let's say that you have somebody from Crowley that's at one of our restaurants or stores, and they see this and it applies to them, and they use it, but they're not living in Burleson. The Burleson PD won't have the ability to do much. What happens then?
So the goal is to provide them resources regardless. So they can still reach out. If police needed to be involved, we would, of course, have to refer them to the agency they live in.
Right.
But we would definitely still provide them resources.
Right. I understand that, besides just police assistance, there's all other forms of assistance we ought to go through in a couple of minutes. But I was just wondering about that because, you get somebody like Otto, he's right on the very corner of Burleson. And a lot of people that live out in the country, maybe in the Burleson ETJ, but like myself, but we don't have Burleson police. We have county sheriff. So if somebody that, one of my neighbors, so to speak, around that area was at a restaurant, whatever, and clicked on that, I guess you'd have to might transfer them or their case, so to speak, over to, Johnson County sheriffs and things of that nature.
Do you mean for 911?
911 we get, okay, because we pay a little bit extra. We can thank Jerry Stringer for that because he put us together with that in fire. So we got that. But I'm saying, as far as police protection, fortunately, I've lived out there for, since 1991, and only once have I had to call for police, and it was for somebody knocked over my mailbox, so it wasn't like a life and death situation. But I couldn't call Burleson PD.
Right.
So let's say that somebody on my street uses this. You'd have to transfer them to the sheriff's office?
So if somebody uses this as far as looking for help and resources, I would not. We would talk to them. If it comes through our dispatch, yes, they would transfer based on the jurisdiction. But we also work with Johnson County. There's some advocates there, so we can connect them also. But no, we would not. We would definitely not turn them away.
Well, I know, but it just but I think. People don't understand really the city limit of Burleson because it's such a weirdly, oddly shaped community. It's not very contiguous, and we go way down the highway, way down 174. And I don't know sometimes if I'm in Joshua or in Burleson half the time.
Yeah, and then 2 counties.
Yes, so we're right there. But I know that our nonprofits are not really bound by city limits of any kind. Jennifer Woods, Debbie Beeman, they say that, they get a lot of people from the county, from the country. And and they even get some from neighboring communities, even though it's primarily for Burleson people. They're not going to say, well, I'm sorry. No, we're not going to give you any groceries.
Right.
That kind of thing. No one would do that. Right. So, and that's kind of what y'all's approach is too.
Definitely.
Okay, you talked about services, and I guess in my mind, I'm focused on assault cases or something serious that involves the PD. What other kind of services are we talking about?
So with victim assistance, what we do is respond to any type of victim. So we can work with, if our officers encounter a homeless situation, they might reach out and then we connect them with someone, say Harvest House or something like that. We also respond to death notifications. So unfortunately, if there's a normal death, a suicide, a car accident, anything like that. And so we provide resources for that as well. And so a lot of times our job is to go out there. The officers have a job to do, of course, and then they can't necessarily sit with the families. And so that's where we come in. We answer questions, we explain the process. We're usually there for hours. So it's one of those.
You've been saying who else is doing this?
So I have a partner, Melissa. Okay. So she's my part-timer. And then we do have some volunteers as well.
Oh, really? And so when you provide resources, you're not actually going out there with a bag of groceries or anything like that, are you?
It depends.
Really? That happens?
So we work with Jennifer all the time. And so, and then also with Debbie. So typically what will happen is we'll go out there probably empty-handed at first. And then find out the details. So what's going on and what do you need? And I always tell everybody, we're not going to say no to anything. Even if we've not done it, we'll find it.
That's interesting. Now, Collin, one of the things that we talked about with the city council people is that we're having a growing population of people in this situation.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure your officers have communicated this to you. What does a Burleson police officer do when he encounters or she encounters somebody that's homeless or living in their car or vagrant, if you will, whatever? What are they instructed to do?
As far as instructed to do, they definitely we have a policy that they'll go through with any sort of interaction, and there's the written rule and the unwritten rule.
Right.
And
that's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah, the written rule is going to be to follow policy, follow procedure, do what what the police department has installed as your limits. However, with that being said, there are stories, and there definitely won't be names named, but there are stories of multiple officers who see a situation and they pull from their own pocketbook to help either a family, someone just to get a meal, taking them to lunch, providing transportation, anything that you could think of as a good Samaritan type of action. Our officers, they do on their own time. They do when it's possible. They do the right thing. That's probably the best answer is when they see a situation and they know that maybe the letter of the law doesn't help in that situation, but they know a helping hand could. Our officers never hesitate to do that.
Well, I know that they would direct them to Promises or Harvest House or whatever. Those are the ones that deal, I think, with the ground zero, kind of things, right? Those kind of the homeless, those that don't eat meals, those that probably don't have maybe proper winter clothing and that kind of thing. And and then there's like the next level, people like Lisa Swartz and Megan and Summer over at Next Step. I mean, that's a more long-term situation. But y'all direct them towards them as well, would you, I'd imagine? We
do. We also, people donate to victim assistance often. So we have gift cards, we have sleeping bags, we have small like snacks and hand warmers, gloves, hats, things like that. So anytime an officer is out with somebody that doesn't have the proper attire, they'll usually reach out to us, and then we'll work with them and start connecting them with resources.
Well, obviously it was so cold this past weekend, and I just really got to feel for some people. Jennifer tells me that most of the homeless are not in our community, are not living in tents; they're living in cars. That ain't much better.
Right.
It's still cold, and I just that's a problem that Victoria Johnson and I have talked about, Dan McClendon and I have talked about, and we'll talk about again because they're going to be in the show next month and that kind of thing. But it's are you getting that kind of uptick in business? Because Jennifer and Promises, one of the people that volunteers at Promises is in my Sunday school class, and he says they're getting swamped. Is that y'all's experience?
I would say we do see a good bit. Of course, our first goal is to refer them to somebody that can help them more long term. So our interaction's usually fairly quick. But there have been cases where we've worked with people. A lot of times they just don't know the resources to get started, to get out of homelessness. And so that's one of the things that we'll work with them.
Well, Sarah Carlson says, thank you both for the ways you serve our community with a nice big red heart. Collin, do you have access to like the police reports in your new position?
Yes, there's. I get those on usually each morning, kind of a synopsis of what's happened the day before. I know that during the one little winter storm that we had the other day, I did an awesome ride along with one of our officers. And as we were driving, that was actually one of the things that he was doing. He was driving in areas where he knows that homeless people have encamped, and he's looking for footprints in the snow. And he's, and one of his things that we discussed was, I want to find somebody, if they're out there and they're huddled down in this weather, we need to find them a place to go. Luckily, we didn't encounter anybody, but that was something that he was cognizant about, is, making sure that, if there's somebody out there sleeping on the street, that they were being taken care of.
Well, I just was wondering if you've noticed a trend, more encounters with these kind of situations. Yeah, because I like I said, the nonprofits are telling me they're, Lisa has a waiting list. Debbie and and Jennifer over at Harvest House and over at Promises, they say that every month it seems like just at the nick of time somebody donates enough food to get through it. But they're or some like some grocery store or some processor or whatever, not just Burleson citizens. And it kind of is like, wow, that was a close call because it gets so much demand. Mm-hmm. And I just wondered if when a police officer encounters one of these homeless situations, do they file a report of any kind?
Yes, and I'll have to kind of defer back to our officers on that one, what type of report they file. But the great thing with Stephanie and her group is that each of the officers know exactly where to point them to. And then she's, unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you want to say it, she's on call 24/7. And so anytime an officer is going to encounter somebody that they can't help in the immediate, it's automatically sent over to Stephanie and the victims assistance group. And then, we kind of move from there.
Well, this is really greatly expanded from, I've been here a long, long time. And prior to, say, like in the 90s, I had a couple of police officer friends, and I'd ask them something similar to these kind of questions. What they often would do is find some reason that they're taken back to the jailhouse, at least to be out of the cold and that kind of thing. But it wasn't as common. Back then. This was not a situation. And a lot of people in Burleson, because we don't have tent cities everywhere and under the bridge living arrangements, if you will, they may not know that this is an issue. And I'm glad that this is something they can do. Now, you say, well, a lot of people say, well, if they're really destitute and poor, would they have a phone to be able to access a QR code? But there are phone numbers as well. And what's the phone number here is 817-426-9901. So I bet the police officers know that number by heart by now.
Yes.
And so it isn't just necessarily have to have some technology to access by a QR code, but that is the way things are done. On a side note, I am so bad at technology, and I just took on a part-time job as a curriculum director or coordinator and designer, and it's all this new technology, and I just feel like stumbled out of a cave. I can't. If it's so simple, even a caveman can do it. I'm in real bad shape, because the technology is it's a mind expanding experiment. But anyway, back to y'all. But in your capacity, though, what exactly is your title? I know you do a lot of stuff with the community, but what exactly is your title?
So my official title is Crime Prevention and Community Engagement Specialist.
So community somewhere in there.
Yeah. So it's my job moving over to City Hall to PD is to help create curriculum that educates our citizens. So that's the crime prevention side of it. But the community engagement is kind of like what we're doing right now, and something that I absolutely enjoy doing, and helping people in general. This was probably one of the greatest things that to start with over at PD, because victims assistance is, you think police department, you think lights, sirens, the whole 9 yards.
I think of traffic tickets.
Traffic ticket. Well, you shouldn't be. You should be obeying all the traffic laws, Brad. But
thank you, Robin. Sorry, I got confused for a moment.
That's all right. I have my own Robin who tells me the same thing. Right. So, but to see the aftermath of a situation. So our officers go in, they take care of the situation, but there's always usually a victim afterwards, and having the ability to take that person and give them direction and put them in a place where it helps them, where they're probably in a place where they're extremely unaware of what their rights are, extremely unaware of what resources are out there for them.
Well, and Stephanie, how long have you been doing this?
5 years.
What did you do before this? Was it something similar, or is this something you just felt like one day I'm going to do this?
I would say similar. I was directly before it. I was a CPS worker, and so I was getting frustrated with the process.
I would imagine CPS. That's got to be one of the most heart-wrenching jobs I could think of, because of this, what you have to encounter.
And then you never know the outcome, so that was always frustrating to me. So I my background is in psychology, so I just kind of found this job, got into it, and I love it. And I just, overall, just helping people.
5 years now, right? Well, how has it changed besides this program here? I honestly, when it opened up say 5 years ago, I wasn't aware of it.
Right.
So how has it changed in the last 5 years?
So I started off as part-time, and I'm now full-time, and we have a part-time position. So we're growing. And of course, as the city grows, we hope to grow our program as well. But we've helped a lot of victims. We've come across a lot of resources. We've got a lot of connections within the community. And so every day is different.
Well, he says you're open 24/7, so to speak. You ever get 2 o'clock phone calls?
Absolutely.
Is that common?
No, it's not too common. It depends on the situation. If it's typically something like a death, if it's in the middle of the night or a car crash, something like that. But it would be if the family is there at the time and they need the resources. So, as you probably know, a tragic traffic accident can be out there for hours, and sometimes if family is there, that's when we're needed.
Well, who would call you then? I mean, if I was involved in a traffic accident that resulted in fatality, I don't know if I'd call y'all first. Who calls you then?
So the officers, of course, are called to the emergency,
Right.
and then they're going to assess the scene and they're going to see what is needed. And so, for example, if they're at the scene and they see, the parents are there, let's say. Parents are distraught, that's assigned to call us. They call our dispatch, and then our dispatchers call us.
Well, I would figure that, if I was in that kind of a tragic situation, my mind would be elsewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm glad to know that, our officers will take it upon themselves to initiate this process, because I wouldn't have, that's not what I think of first.
Absolutely. And they're assessing the situation, and some people will say, no, I don't want help. And if it's that much going on, they'll still bring us, and we'll just try. And if they don't want our help, we'll kind of back up, but we're there if they do need us.
What would you be providing in that kind of situation? I mean, they're not looking for a place or groceries. What are you offering them?
So in a situation like that, what happens when there's a death is the medical examiner comes out. And one of the things that the medical examiner is going to ask the family pretty quickly is for a funeral home. And so that's very overwhelming because this is unexpected. So we have a couple lists, just a few local places, and then we provide it to them just to help them and guide them. Unfortunately, sometimes there's crime scene cleanup that's needed. That's not something anybody ever thinks of. They kind of, I always thought maybe the police cleaned it up. Who knows? But they don't. So there's a need for that. And so we provide just a generic list for that if it's needed. The medical examiner's information, and then we give some information on trauma and grief too, just to kind of remind them that what they're experiencing is normal, because after we leave, it's very quiet and different than it was when we got there.
Well, I would think, though, the 2 a.m. call would be along these lines, but you ever get 2 a.m. calls for this family has no groceries or something like that?
I have not, no.
Okay.
No. And honestly, the way that Burleson works, kind of like Collin said, our officers would probably go grab them something. So,
well, I hope is there a fund for that? There should be, like what Terry Ford used to call butter and egg money, for those kind of minor expenses. So
you would hope, but there's not. I mean, these officers are doing it out of the goodness of their own heart.
Well, I know a couple of places that would be more than welcome and probably give you all a big discount if you're doing it under that circumstance.
Sure, there's a place, maybe our place.
Yeah, our place. Yeah, that's what I was getting at, because I know that he's a lot of police officers eat at our place, and there's a reason why. The food's good, obviously, but it's also, I think, he really caters to those, and I know for a fact that he has donated cards and stuff for our place and things like that. That's why I'm really proud to have him as a sponsor.
Otto's a good man.
Yeah, and so, but I would imagine, though, majority of your calls are the necessities kind, as opposed to these tragic situations. How many result in maybe criminal referrals? Would you, percentage wise? For this program, for example, how many when they call or use the QR code? About what percentage are having to need the police to be involved in?
So far, we don't have any. I don't think that will be a big thing. I think it's going to be people more trying to understand what's out there for them. One of the things we had this morning on Moms of Burleson is somebody's reaching out anonymously and somebody posted our picture. And so it's kind of one of them things that they don't even know where to go. And so it's really information. People really don't know that there's help out there.
I think, though, honestly, as this program gets better known, you're going to start getting more of those kind of criminal referrals because a lot of people, and as an ex-teacher, I saw this kind of indirectly. They don't want to discuss this openly. Hence, that's why you put them in the ladies' restrooms, right?
Right.
Because that way they may have some at that moment of privacy that they normally don't get. But when I got students, that had obvious signs of abuse of some kind. Well, first of all, my job, my duty was absolutely clear, both as a teacher and under the law. But they don't want to talk about it,
Right.
Or and I got this, I fell off my bike or whatever else, and. And then you ask a few more questions. And even if they told me, no, it's an accident, I would still get, like, we always had at least one female vice principal, and I'd call her. Or if it was a guy, I'd call one of the male vice principals and said, dude, we're going to have a conversation anyway. You're going to have to tell him this story. And sometimes they got the story that they wouldn't tell their teacher, which is fine. Sherry Scott is asking you, is there a way you can volunteer to help?
There is. We do have volunteer opportunities. They can reach out through, she can email me, and then we can forward it over, and then they do have to go through a process and everything, but yes.
So there's a form, I'm sure. And then do you have to,
Background checks.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, it's
a lot
part
of fun stuff.
Well, everything is a background check, so, that's just the way it is. Have you thought about other ways to publicize it other than this particular method? Because I'm thinking of a couple right now. There's events going on all in the spring with the nonprofits, and that I'm quite sure they'd give you space. If I know that Next Step has something on the 2nd of February as well, and of course Jessica Valley Reams and hers on the 2nd. There is something planned, I believe, with Crazy Eights. Of course, they always do that City Upon a Hill.
Right.
Have you ever thought about talking to those type
and
of
that's
people?
the wonderful thing about my new position is that the public engagement side of it. So since everything is still new to us on my end, that's something I'm working on right now is getting our CROs, our community resource officers, Stephanie, and anybody else that we can to gather. To get out to these events because we need to be more in the public. We need to show that there are resources out there. We need to show that there are ways to contact our officers, and then just the community engagement side of it in general is just being a part of the public. So
well, besides like billboards, which I know there's a lot of regulations about that. I was just thinking another person you need to talk to is Chaz Forster over at the farmers market. I'm quite sure he'll provide some sort of opportunity for you.
Well, the crazy thing you say that we were literally just discussing that about 2 hours before this on locations to go, and I'd mentioned Chaz's name. So Chaz, if you're listening, buddy, shoot me a text. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure he's busy, but anyway, no, I think that would be great. And of course, walking around carrying these posters and whatnot. Have you ever thought about reducing it to like a size of a card? Just so you could hand out cards to everybody.
So we do. The idea kind of stemmed off of a card that we have originally, which I did not bring with me, but we do have a card that has the QR code. It's the same QR code. And then on the other side, it says HOPE. This way, it does not show it's domestic violence or anything like that. It's just a resource. There's no other wording, nothing on it. And so we do have that card that we can hand out.
Okay. Well, I just think, if you went to farmers market or... that pub crawl maybe, or, other opportunities that are several months away, like Brewfest and whatnot, or 4th of July, either distribute them or have a place that people can come by and pick one up and all this sort of stuff. I'm quite sure that just about every community event is going to have be more than willing to provide space, and also, I don't know, Hot Sounds of Summer is going to come around. I mean, we think, it's January. Things they roll pretty quick.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden these things are on top of you, and so those are just I'm just thinking off the top of my
No,
head.
and I'm glad you are, because those are literally the same discussions that we're having at the office,
Oh,
and
good.
And so that's good, because that means greater minds think alike. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, but I'm really proud of this community though, because I know how they would get behind this. I can't imagine anybody saying, "No, I don't want that in my business." Are you kidding? I'd want like $6. Now, you help to defray the cost. Are they still $7?
still $7.
All right.
And we will definitely take donations. We actually, of the first run of 180, we're out.
Really?
Yeah. So we are in the process of ordering more. Awesome guys down, Paul down at Sign Solutions has made this possible for us at this price. And we've had donations that have already come in that we're going to be utilizing. Again, we haven't even touched our church bases. I think we were talking about that off air.
Right.
That's our next step, is to contact all of our churches in Burleson and say, hey, this is something we would like to give you. And then we'd also like to have the opportunity to come to your church and talk about these things.
I don't think I'll have any problem with that. I'm quite sure that First Baptist will be on board. I know Pathway will be on board. They're always involved in stuff like this.
Well, we're going to call First Baptist. The first thing I'm going to say is Brad Allard told me.
You darn tootin'. You go right ahead.
That's
And he'll
our
probably
ticket
go, who,
in.
what? Let me see how much he's tithed. I don't know any Brad Allard, Oh,
I'll just say Robin. And
Robin,
yes. No, we know that saint.
yeah, she is a saint. If you talk to the secretary, she knows as well.
Gotcha.
But because she knows everybody.
Right.
As Sherry says, you could add them to the blessing boxes as well.
That's a good
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a very kind thing, and that's a great program, and it's so typical of Burleson too. And so, as far as I don't know any church is going to object, and that kind of thing. So as far as coming and speaking, I can't say what our pastor do for sure, how we'd do it, but I know he would find a way
Absolutely.
to let y'all speak to the congregation. There'd be some manner in which before the sermon maybe or something like that.
Even if it was a small group or a Sunday school class or something along those lines.
Yeah, our Sunday school class is about 16 to 18 people, but there's one downstairs. It's really big because they're the older crowd, shall we say, but they're probably 60 to 70 in there, and I would also imagine talking to the youth ministers would be a big
Absolutely.
deal, because a lot of these cases, maybe some 16-year-old kid, may take it on themselves to try to find the meals for the weekend or something like that, or there's a need in our house, and my mom may not be able to take care of it, or may not be in the physical or mental capacity to take care of it, and that kind of thing. And so, some of these kids that I encountered, a lot of them ran the homes. They were the adult in the home. Particularly the young ladies. It seems like, there's some guys that really took on a man's job, but it seems like when the parents were either absent or incapable of taking care of things, or not caring to take care of things, quite often these young ladies would step up and be like the mom and older sister to the rest of the kids. So I promise you, if you put these in the schools, you'll get some response. For us at BHS, it was all kind of like your officers. We encountered this situation. We just kind of, okay, what can I do? We don't have a process, but we'd find ways. So here, go to this place, go, talk to this person, whatever else. But you put this up there in the ladies' rooms in the junior highs and high schools, and you're going to be surprised how many of them will actually use it. Some of these young people are taking on adult responsibilities at a much too young age.
Absolutely.
So, and you probably encounter that sometimes too. I don't want to make it sound like Burleson was like this hellhole. Most kids, they come to school, they did their stuff, they went home, and they had, two adults in the home at least, either the original set or maybe mom and stepdad or whatever. And in my experiences with CPS related type cases, I could probably 6 or 7, over the years. So we're not living in a community where, it's something like out of Mad Max or something like that, but it does occur.
And it's a small percentage, and that's the thing, is because it's such a marginalized group, a lot of people just don't think about it.
Right.
And that's what makes Stephanie and her group just absolutely amazing, is that they are able to concentrate one-on-one with every single person that contacts them, or they're contacted by the police and sent out. I mean, they have the ability to maintain that one-on-one relationship. And I know that Steph gets text messages from people, and I mean, sometimes they've gone through the system and they've gotten the help they needed, and they still contact her because she's just an amazing person. But that's that ability to have that one-on-one. So it being a small margin is wonderful, because we would love it to be a zero margin.
Yeah, I suppose.
Sorry for job security on Steph.
We'll find a place.
Yeah, absolutely. But because it's there, it's very needed.
Well, what's really helped in this other area, I'm sure with you, Stephanie, is the SRO program at the schools, because they're like ground zero as well for a lot of this.
Absolutely.
I remember Jack Goldman, when he's probably around when you were there.
Yep.
And Jerry Stringer, and then Mike Alley took over, and that was who was doing it until he got injured. And so the last guy, my last year, I mean, we talked, but I knew those other guys much better. But they Jerry and Jack and Mike would tell me, quite often kids would come up to him and say, I don't want to get my parents in trouble, but we don't have any heat or whatever else. Or my dad's taken off or my mom's taken off, whatever else, and we don't have anything to eat. Right. And they would find ways to make this work. So I'd talk to them a lot if I were y'all.
And we do. We have a real good connection with them.
I figured you would.
Yep.
Yeah. A couple of one is Nick Grace, is a former student of mine. Another's Woody Holman, whom I've known for years. Yep. And then of course Jack, he's a Burleson legend. So, I'm sure they're a great resource for this kind of information. And they'll get those posters in the schools. I don't think any principal, I don't think Jimerson or anybody else is going to have one iota of objection. So,
right.
But, if you're talking about talking to like classes, have you all done that?
It's in the works.
Okay.
It's definitely in the works. And we love the fact that, we want to thank you, number one, because you've kind of been our jump off point as far as community engagement, and so that has been a huge part for us.
It's an honor.
And
really is.
And so the wonderful thing is that we now have people in places where we're starting to be able to do these types of things, and that goes back on my boss, Tim Mabry, he's a lieutenant up there, and then Chief Cordell, because it was his envisionment to create a position that can engage with the community, get those resources out there, show people that we do these types of things. And so often we get everything on the back end, and we don't get a whole lot of time to do the preventative on the front end. And so this is our way of now trying to be more preventative on the front end, proactive, than it is going to be reactive.
Well, my suggestion, if you go I'm just thinking of Burleson High School or Centennial High School, because that's my reference points. If you talk to the senior government classes or in economic classes. Why? Because they're required classes. So if you talk to, this may be a subject more fitting for like the home and family living type classes, but you're not going to, and that may work, but you're going to reach all the seniors at least,
right?
As they go into, past high school. So and since it's also not tested, and you have to think about that. It sounds weird, but it's not a star-tested class, so they can afford to give up a day.
Right.
If that sounds odd, but that's the mindset, and it's unfortunately that I'm not blaming BISD. That's the mindset they are forced to take.
Right.
But I would say if you talk to the person you want to talk to at BHS, if you want to talk to somebody in the social studies department, is Lana Davis. And she came in about a decade after you left, and she's still there. And she'd be all over this and twice on Sunday because this guy's trying to deliver my lawnmower. He's just calling me at the time. Sorry, dude. I'll talk to you in a minute.
You're turning down a lawnmower?
No. I'm turning down. I had to go pay for it, get it repaired.
But
let's not get into that, please. And as I'm writing it out and say Joe Biden did it. Joe Biden's fault. I'm paying this much. No, I'll talk to him later. No, but seriously, Lana would be really good. And I'm sure she'll be just thrilled with me dropping her name on the show. But she's still there and she'd be all over this type of program. And because of all the teachers I worked with, she was one of the very, very best at communicating with a certain type of community within BHS that a lot of other teachers, myself sometimes included, really wouldn't notice. You know, the type of student that goes under the radar that has needs and issues, she just seemed to pick them out, and they really related well with her. So that's who I talked to. But I'm quite sure you can get that set up.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not, you know, if it's like an all-day thing, the teachers go, great. I'll just take the roll, and I'm going to go have a sandwich. Y'all take over, you know, or something like that. So it won't be a problem at all. That's all the ways you know, there's a lot of ways to get it out there. Now, my bet is when we're going to talk again, probably, you know, the three of us, I like to talk again in a couple of months from now, maybe in late March or something like that. And I bet by then you're going to say, man, we're blowing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're becoming a thing. Now, there is a website, isn't there, that y'all go to? And is it part of Burleson PD's website?
It is.
How would they reach you?
I don't know the exact website, but if you type in Victim Assistance Burleson Police Department, it will come up.
Well, then, I'm sorry. So, yeah, so if that, just Google it and find it, you know.
Yep.
Well, that's good.
And it's through our Facebook page too. So
Facebook?
you can find
Okay.
us on there.
Okay. You do a lot of interaction on Facebook?
I do not. The community resource officers are typically the ones that do that. But if there is something that is specific to victim assistance, they'll send it over to us.
So you spend a lot of time on Facebook, do you?
I do spend a lot of time on Facebook.
More than I care to as
We've had
well.
some good little Facebook interactions here recently. So.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Surely no one's voiced an objection to this program.
Oh, no.
I didn't think so. But, you know, you never know with Facebook. You get these cranks that live in the basement, you know, whatever.
I think with this program, if we had somebody voice an objection, I don't think we would have to worry about it. I think the comment section would take care of it itself. So I think we're in good standing.
Okay, well that's good. I just this program, I think, you know, I mentioned it to some adult friends, and they're like, "What a great idea," you know. And I'm like, "Well, they've been around for a few years," and they go, "Well, I didn't know that," you know, because they didn't need it, fortunately.
Absolutely.
But it was nice for them to know that if they encounter people with needs, they know where to send them now. Because sometimes, you know, what happens to us as civilians is like we get an encounter with somebody in the community that needs all these things, and we're like, I can't help you, you know, giving you some cash, which most people don't carry cash anymore. You know, I can't help you now. They can, you know, and so I think that's a great thing.
And that's the nice thing about having this out on the internet is that, you know, for the Burleson moms or Burleson residents talking, or I know Sarah commented a minute ago with Municipal Matters. There are times where we don't see somebody that's reaching out for need, and the fact that these posters are able to be shared online by citizens that just have seen it and they're like, I'll never use this, or I hope I never have to use this, but I'm going to keep it just in case somebody else does. And that's just the Burleson community in itself coming together to help everyone out. Because you're right. I mean, it's sometimes hard, especially in this economy. We won't go down that route, but in this economy,
I will. I'm more than glad.
but yeah, in this economy, it's sometimes hard to help because you're almost in need yourself. So having a resource to be able to provide somebody to turn around to get the resources and the help they need, that's imperative.
Hang on, I got to respond to this one here. You know, got to make sure the guy knows where to put the lawnmower. But anyway.
Put it in Taylor's driveway.
Put it in Taylor's. You want to mow yards, do you? In this weather?
Sure. You just set yourself up, Taylor.
Yeah, I know. Well, no.
I give me one of those robot lawnmowers.
Oh, yeah, but it's not electric, so there you go. By the way, I was going to bust you up on what I saw on NBC News last night.
All right, go for it.
About all these electric cars.
The cold affects the batteries.
Yeah, and they're like,
it is what it is.
They're like sitting in line for hours and on and on. And that's like, Taylor, he's going to love that. Okay. Anyway.
Oh, Mr. Allard.
Now I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, we're getting close. We're getting close on time. So, kind of just sum up what we've been talking about, and you know how to contact you, how to volunteer. You know, if there's other questions, you know where y'all can be reached at and things like that.
Sure. You want to go with the contact and the volunteers?
So, of course, the best contact is the number on the poster. It's 817-426-9901. The QR code will bring you to the website, which also will link you to my email. So you can email us, you can call, and then of course, the website, again, has all of our information. The biggest thing right now is just getting the word out. And then we are still, of course, taking donations because we do want to fund the posters and put them in places and not have anybody have to pay for them. So feel free to donate if you would like to.
Well, if they wanted to do like a cash donation, is there like a drop-down box where they can do that?
So they can take it to Burleson Police Department. I don't know that they're accepting cash, but a check, and then just put in the memo DV posters or something like that. And so it gets allocated to the right fund.
Well, I would bet, though, as y'all get bigger, you're going to expand your website presence, and you'll probably get like what all these nonprofits have is a drop-down box and a donation box and all that.
That'd be great.
And well, it'd be a lot easier to tell you the truth, because a lot of people, they think, oh, I'd like to donate, but I'm busy today. Well,
Right.
you know, when it's online, it's much, much more convenient.
Right.
Or, you know, set up a Venmo account of some sort.
Right.
Do y'all do fundraisers?
We have not yet, but that's something that we can talk about and look at. We've since we partnered with the chamber through a lot of this, we're actually going to be working with them on trying to put some stuff together. I know Melissa and Sarah and Jessica down at the chamber do an amazing job, and there's some resources that they have that we're going to be looking into. And then, if there's the ability to do some sort of fundraising, 100%. I mean, it'd be great.
Are y'all going to take part in the Burleson Business Expo on February 24th?
We have not yet, but that is, again, we go right back to those discussions.
Wow.
These are all the things. And I've been looking up, the different types of expos, the different types of, I know our economic development group has a Project U leadership conference coming up. So we're seeing what we can do about getting a presence in there. So yes, all of those things, which is a great kind of segue from the communicate, from the how to communicate with Stephanie and her group, to our side on if you have an event, we would love to be there. We would love to represent BPD and have them come out. Our officers can come, Stephanie can come, myself, and just not only share this information, but share other information that's pivotal to businesses and individuals.
Well, at the last one, which was the first one, last February, it was over at Pathway, and this one also is at Pathway, and it was mostly for people with, private enterprise businesses, but there were several nonprofits there, and they were handing out materials, cards, whatever else. And so you just call Melissa and tell her I sent you.
I will.
I see Melissa on the 5th of February, and I just saw her on the show not too long ago, and she'll be all over it, no doubt. But again, it's not just businesses. They had several there from the county. For like county services and things of that nature. So I bet you'll get a spot.
I know. And I think right now they're getting ready for their luncheon today, but I'll reach out to her and just say, if you got a corner that we can borrow, we will, we'll put a tent in there and represent.
Well, my business networking group is going to be there, so we'll get you a corner.
Hey, perfect. Perfect.
Sherry is asking, can you add a fee to the DV ticket that goes to the victim assistance program?
So I don't know that answer for sure. Of course, we do. As of right now, our section, victim assistance, does not have any funding. So that's something we'd have to get approved and see how that process works. But it's definitely an idea that we can look into.
For the listeners at home, what is a DV ticket?
I'm assuming she means domestic violence.
All right. Oh, I get you. Okay. That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to. I'm thinking DV ticket. Don't want to mess it up, but I thought that was it.
I believe so.
Well, that's not a bad idea. You could add it to the speeding ticket so people will be breaking the law for a good cause instead of the usual reasons. You never know. But I'm glad we had this kind of rambling conversation. You're going to have a lot of opportunities in the spring and summer to really get this out.
Absolutely.
And y'all could share this with your program with whatever websites you got. That will be fine with me, certainly.
Sounds good.
Anyway, one thing I was going to announce is we're going to have a monthly Burleson PD program. We're we're trying to settle on a date. Collin may do it and may bring in other officers. You mentioned one that does a program about drug awareness and things like that?
Yeah, they for our next one, I'd love to bring one of our officers in. His name is Joe Byram, and he's actually has put together a program about child grooming and child trafficking through different sorts of social media apps that are probably on your phone. Well, maybe not yours, because you're still trying to figure out how to get the lawnmower guy to get it to your front porch. But
are you kidding me? I am so far behind. When I introduced PowerPoints to my class, I thought I landed on the moon. I am out there. I'm as evolved as can be. Well, but no, we're tentatively have it on the 6th, as long as you and your officer can, all the schedules coordinate.
Absolutely.
But we're going to do this on a monthly basis, and various other aspects of Burleson PD and what they do for the community, and not just, what a lot of people think it's just basically patrol the streets and stuff like that. And there's a whole lot more to it than that. I'm sure. Yeah. I'm sure my former students that are on the force are getting a real education now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I really appreciate y'all being here.
Appreciate it.
And like I said, we'll do this again in a couple of months, because by then you'll have hit several of these community events, and I bet you'll be swamped. All right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Taylor, thanks. And,
Always.
Try to stay warm, because I don't want you to get stranded in that electric car of yours.
Yeah.
So,
Brad will ride his lawnmower over and get
that's
you.
right. Well, now I can. But anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Let's see what's going on next week. I want to just make sure. I'm hopeful that Jennifer Woods will be here. She's been ill, but as far as tentatively, it's for Monday. And then on Tuesday, I have Matthew Lucci. All right, which is going to be pretty interesting. Matthew Lucci is running for District 25 in the Republican primary against Roger Williams, so I'm going to ask him a lot of questions. And then I got the 25th is open, but I'm still, working on one guest, and if that doesn't happen, then I'll rant and rave some more. I'll find something to talk about. Thanks for what y'all do, guys. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
No problem. Bye-bye.